The golden age of remote work seems to be ending. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that even tech firms, the first industry that told employees they could work from home forever just a few years ago, are getting engineers and project managers back in the office. This is what's interesting. I'll give you the 4 reasons why they're saying this may be ending. So number 1 reason is remote work is bad for new hires and junior employees. Now, this one is not nearly as controversial as it sounds, especially when you are new on the job. Being physically present can be an enormous leg up. And even the supposedly anti-office Gen Z workers acknowledge the overwhelming truth. We know empirically that you do better if you're in the office, when you're meeting people, when you're being onboarded, or you're training. And then they go on to say, and I think this is the interesting one, that nearly 1/3 of employees told Paychecks that they found their onboarding experience confusing. That figure jumped up to 36% for remote workers, who were the most likely to feel undertrained, disoriented, and devalued after onboarding compared to other counterparts. And this is a big percentage of people that end up quitting. This one, I think that one's actually a pretty obvious one. I don't even know if I need to explain it that much. When you're trying to teach somebody something or getting them involved in how the business is, it is much more difficult to do online than in person. You can make the argument that for somebody who's been here a long time, knows everyone, knows the business inside and out, okay, then there's the argument that working hybrid or working remote can make sense. For new employees, basically what the data is showing is it is very, very difficult to do so. Number 2, workers admit that remote work causes more problems than in-person work. Okay, so when executed incorrectly, hybrid work plans can create discordant, unproductive teamwork. That's especially true when teams don't make an effort to align their in-office days. So basically what this is saying, if you don't have a consistent schedule for everyone, right? Everyone can work remote on Wednesdays and Fridays, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're in the office. Then when you go into the office, everyone's here. You get the full in-person experience. When it's not coordinated, you'll have somebody who works remote come into the office to work because it's forced, and then all they're doing is sitting in their office by themselves working from the computer, which they can do at home. So, I think companies are having a hard time keeping the schedule consistent so that there's no problems or a worse experience by calling them in. Number 3, remote workers put in 3.5 hours less per week compared to in-person workers. Okay, so how the pitch to hybrid working started in the beginning, that there was a percentage of your time that was spent driving to work. So if you remove the drive to and the drive home, you have more time at home to get things done, or resulting in you being more productive. What the study is starting to show is that employees decreased time spent working and increased their leisure and sleeping. So people who are working from home are sleeping longer, they're taking longer lunches, they're running errands, they're picking up the kids, they're doing more things that we would be involved in our lifestyle, and it's resulting into less work being done. As a business owner, that's gonna be a hard one. Like, there's a strong argument that if you're getting everything I need done remote, then okay, fine. Then it's just like a preference on seeing you or not. But when you're getting less work done and cost of employees only going up, that one's gonna be a pretty damaging one. And then 4, productivity plummets on days when everyone is working remotely. Okay, so this is maybe a little bit similar to what we just discussed. Workers themselves, okay, here we go. Other experts more skeptical. What I suspect is if you took out all of the time at work talking about the Super Bowl, politics, your weekend, etc., working from home would involve more actual working minutes than working in the office. Workers certainly beg to differ on this point. According to a recent Pew Research, pro-remote workers, especially parents and caregivers, have a better work-life balance and are more productive and focused. According to the survey of white-collar workers from Slack's think tank, Future Forum, those with full schedule flexibility showed 29% higher productivity scores than employees with no flexibility at all. And remote and hybrid workers reported 4% higher productivity than their counterparts. Okay, And then here's the last one. This is what I would totally agree with, actually. The survey showing that when they interviewed business owners who had to make layoffs or cut people, they said that the first people they would cut were those that were working remote. My whole 2 cents, and I think the big driver for me is really around culture. As a business owner, I've always found it very difficult to maintain the culture when you're working remote. And when you think about like the total team and those who are all working together, you really have 2 options of retention. You pay somebody more than anyone else is willing to pay, which there's always going to be somebody who will pay more than you, or, and maybe a combination of the 2, you create an environment where they enjoy working, they feel valued, a part of the team, and that there's upside for them by sticking around. That part is the part that I think is very difficult when there's a hybrid model. If we're around, I can be in person with everybody. I'm definitely a people person. So I feel like it's a lot easier for me to maintain that environment where people want to show up, get things done, and are enjoying it. On the computer, I've really, really struggled to do so. But let's finish it with this one. Right now, out of all the asset classes in real estate, office is the one that's getting hit the hardest. They're at like north of 20% vacancy, which is like great financial crisis numbers. This is 2008. So you're seeing prices come down significantly. You're seeing a steep, steep correction. Well, if this article is right, and you're watching tech companies bring back people full-time who have the strongest argument to allow hybrid working, the question becomes, have we really seen office or the work environment change forever? If we're gonna go back to the same amount of remote workers pre-2020 as there are post, then I think office space is gonna come roaring back. And if it does, that means there's the potential, what would you call speculation, that you can buy at a discount today. And if this thing comes back, you're gonna make a lot of money if it does. So really fascinating. All right, have a great week. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. It does a huge amount for our algorithm. Our channel is growing at a great rate now. I will see you guys next week when we figure out what is gonna happen then.